So here we welcome, 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 dear listeners. Welcome, Annaliina. Annaliina is my co-host, my friend today that I'm chatting with, and we want to share a lot about something that brought magic into our lives. So something that brought us so many healings, the expansion, the joy, and that is the path of shamanistic living, the path of the shaman in general. So we have unique perspectives about who is a shaman. So I can't wait to explore that deeper and to, of course, help you meet us, and we want to meet you. So all along, as you're listening to this recording now, we want you to ask questions in the comments, to share your experiences. So as you are listening to us here, just share what do you feel about this topic and what is your experience, because this is an interaction. This is not a lecture. Right? I'm a professor in the university and I'm giving a lecture. No, this is the conversation. So welcome, Annaliina. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
good to have you. Yes, it's so good that we connected. We connected on Facebook and we instantly clicked. So the first thing I want to know, and then I will share my perspective as well, is who is the shaman for you personally? How would you explain that to someone who doesn't know anything about shamanistic way? How would you explain that?
For me, a shaman is a healer, a person who can travel between realities, between dimensions, directions. And although in the old times there was a lot of performance involved, and those are beautiful, beautiful practices of the old, like using poetry, making it very like a show, so people can feel how the shaman goes to the underworld and brings someone's soul back and all that. But today it can be a little bit more low-key, like what I do. I'm there for people and I help them access what is blocking them, whether it's from this life, another life. And there's usually an emotional release, and there's healing and clearing, and it's a way for a life that feels more joyful, peaceful, loving. And that is a beautiful gift from me, but also it goes onwards. A person who's joyful, peaceful, and loving can give those gifts onwards. And yeah, so yeah. That is a very good question. And yeah, that's what first came to me as you asked it. And I want to mention nature. Because we are in a world where we have abundance of nature. We are part of nature. And when we follow cycles and seasons and really tune into the beauty of nature, we can learn so much of ourselves. And that is also healing. And there are endless possibilities how nature can heal us.
Oh, yes. I love the simplicity of what you said. I love that perspective, like a shaman, and that's how I feel it as well. We are here. So it's a person that is able to, because, the person who went through their own transformation so many times and their own healing and explored themselves is able to now be there, present completely, fully, as much as it is possible. And of course, for me, I have noticed that this capacity grows in time. And as we are working with people more and more, yes, and working on ourselves, that capacity widens. So I love that you shared that at the very beginning, because that is the essence for me as well. That is the core of the work, being present, and then of course being the translator between dimensions, between different realities, as you beautifully said. Then that comes as a tool, as a way, but the foundation for me is that presence, like we are right now, like we are fully present with each other. And there is some healing happening here as well, right? We are
Mhm.
going through some phases, we are opening some new doors. And that's also, in a way, healing. And yes, nature, oh my God, nature. And that understanding that all of the elements are within ourselves. And that's something I want to remind you, the listener, the viewer, the beautiful soul who is here with us, that you have all of the elements, that you are communicating with forces of nature. You are connected to nature. You're part of it wherever you are, whatever you are doing, no matter how much the technology has been infused into your life and interwoven with your being, but that remains always. Like you are always nature. That's who you are. So that is the reminder from the shamanic world. Can you share a little bit, Annaliina, about your path, as much as you want, how that discovery of this magic was for you? How did it look like?
I can talk all day, but I will try to
I
keep
know.
it short and sweet. Um, well, I was very in tune with my clairsenses when I was a young child, but I had no one to explain me how the world works or how my gifts work. And that led to me feeling like an outsider because I saw and heard and felt, and there was so much, but I didn't understand it. And others, like as a child, I can ask, "How are you?" And the other person says, "I'm fine," and they're not fine. And the contradictions, there were so many. And then I was a happy child until I was bullied because I guess I was too much. Of course, I wasn't too much, but
Mm.
that's how I was perceived. Like, she's always happy. What's wrong with her? We need to pick her and make her smaller. And it was hard for me because I already felt I was odd. And then many things sort of piled up and I became really sick in so many ways. And for a long time, I was just collecting diagnoses and treatments and different kinds of, like, how can I make this work? Because I wanted to love life and I wanted to be me and I wanted to be loved and all the things. So little by little, I started finding more natural ways of healing. First, things like mindfulness, that was easy to accept, and then it kind of went onwards, and then it was 215, and I had this big awakening to my gifts, and it was a couple of weeks before my grandfather passed on.
Mm.
He had a stroke, and his soul came to me saying, like, I need you to give me energy. I cannot go yet. I want to say goodbye to the people that I love on this earth, on this life. And I used hours of meditation to provide that healing, that magic, and to really help my grandfather with what he was feeling. And then it was a couple of weeks, and he was able to see my grandmother. And my grandmother had Alzheimer's, and it was very advanced. And that's why they couldn't meet, because my grandmother was taken care of in a care home. My grandfather took care of her at home, even though he was 89. But of course, when he was in a hospital, that wasn't possible. But after those 2 weeks, they were able to meet. And my grandma, she had no idea what was going on. But my grandfather held her hand and they talked a bit, and. And then quite soon after that, he went into a coma, and in the next morning, he passed on. And yeah, it was big. And still, I didn't believe that I can do something that not everyone can do. So it took me many years to sort of ease it in. And it was 2 years ago when I realized that I'm a starseed. And I went into mentoring and I realized, oh, I have gifts. I'm not an outsider, I'm just different. And then for the last 6 months, I have been a shaman apprentice, and it's just all clicking, it's all making sense. And everything I've done and all the info I've gathered, and the more I've become me, the more I realize, well, not only who I am and what I came here to do, but how I can help others. And to have that acceptance, and every hard thing that I encountered was needed. And I can love and be compassionate to that little girl, and later the the teenager and the young adult, and all those things that felt really bad, like really, really bad. And I can just love myself and come more whole and expand, and like I can love the whole world. And it's something that I really want to share with people because it's possible for everyone. So that is the short story.
Amazing. I'm glad that you are in that place now, that you now know, right, that everything that was judged, attacked, that was considered to be weird about you, or even your flaws, it was even seen like your flaws, was actually part of your gifts. That was all the part of your brilliance and the mission you have on this earth. So I'm so glad that that happened. I'm so glad that you are here, and I'm so grateful that you're doing this work because it's so important, it's so needed, and especially in this phase of humanity we are now, especially now when really we are going through expansion, purging and expansion, because that's all the part of the same thing. So humans who are aware of who they are and who are exploring that and using that brilliance and that beauty and that love to help others, like we are really needed now more than ever. Like we were always needed. Like there were always shamans and healers, right, in all of the cultures of the world. But now I can sense, I can see the disconnection in people, the feeling of, and that's why so many people are depressed, are anxious, are seeking for purpose, meaning, who am I? What the fuck am I doing on this earth? Wow, what is going on, right? It's a lot of confusion and fear. And right now, that's why it's so important for us to have these conversations and to let people know that they're okay, that it's all right, that it's going to be okay, because yes, darkness leads to light. It's all connected. And yeah, I love what you shared. And of course, it resonates a lot with my story. Of course, it's always so similar. I was also extremely connected to spirit world, to different dimensions when I was little. I had many visions. They were very vivid. And I had an imaginary friend at the age of 4, which was actually the ancestor, one of the friends of my grandma. So it was really interesting that afterwards, as I was growing up, I realized, oh my, it was all real, right? It was all like, it seemed like child play, and my parents were very tolerant, and this was, I believe, what didn't lead me into insanity. That's why I stayed really grounded, because they were very open-minded. They were really cosmopolitan people. They were, they knew a lot about different cultures, mythology, religions. So they were, informed. They didn't have their own gifts woken up, but they never tried to suppress that in me. And that was really, really beautiful. They were confused. They were scared. I felt that when I explained, like, right now I'm talking to the person, like they don't see anyone in the room. It's really the moments that are scary for parents. but they were always understanding, and they were like, okay, you see it. Okay, who is that? Is that a benevolent someone? Are you threatened? They were always really, grounded in all of that. And because of that, I didn't shut down all of my gifts until, let's say, well, the beginning years of elementary school, because when I entered the system, I felt that, oh, I'm so different. By the way, I'm bored. I was so bored in elementary school. My mind was so fast and I was processing everything so quickly. And so I was bored. Like, are we seriously going to learn how to write and read for 2 full years? Like, are you serious? I was like, no, come on, let's play. So that was one of the things that shut me down, and I felt as a misfit, as an outcast until 20 and something years old. It was really the phase in which I was an intruder. I felt like an alien that was placed in the middle of that scenery, and like John Travolta in that movie, just confused, just looking around, like what is going on. And I closed myself. I became extremely introverted, and somehow it seems like I'm an autistic child. I wasn't, but it seemed like that. I was completely in my own world and writing, creating, imagining things. I mean, I was a storyteller and I am a storyteller. So it was my own imaginary world I lived in, as I said, until maybe 24, 25 years old. And what brought me back was the world of Jungian philosophy and psychotherapy and his approach to dreams. So dreams were like a passage through which I came back into that connection and started lucid dreaming, started being aware in dreams and like controlling and playing in the dream. So that was as a gateway to actually come back to those gifts. But it took time. For me, it really took time. Up until early 30s, I wasn't able to fully connect back because I was holding a lot of traumatic events, memories, heavy energy, heavy emotions in my body. And I actually took, as many of us, all of that from the entire lineage. It was kind of like, like a sponge that took all of that and said, I'm going to heal it. I'm the one. Yeah, like this tiny creature, so hypersensitive and everything, like, I'm the one. uh, so I went into that in early 30s. I'm now 38. So it was, recently. And as I actually emotionally processed a lot, as I energetically processed a lot, those gifts came back online and they appeared fast and intensely. And, I started channeling the light language, I started singing in weird tones and, like throat singing. And I started healing myself with that and then helping others as well. But also seeing and feeling into, as you beautifully said, blockages. Where is the block? I can instantly feel it and see it and locate it, and I know how to approach it. So it was like I entered a library in a way, and I suddenly had access to all of that. So it was intense, but bit by bit, I really grounded all of that knowledge, and now I'm able to play with it and use it whenever it's needed in the amount that is needed, etc. So my path led from music into marketing, communication, organization. That was my phase of, being a digital nomad, working with startups. It was really masculine kind of approach. And then grounding all of that back into personal development, inner work, and what I see now is a transformative mentorship. I don't even resonate anymore with the word healing because we are whole always. We are always complete. But it is a journey to come back to that. So as you can see, yes, our stories are of course similar. Of course they are. There are many layers, like 30,000 layers, of course, that we can share. But I really want to dive a little bit into that other topic we mentioned, and then we will expand. Um, how are you using those gifts in your daily life? What are some examples that you can give? Like, how is that immersed and interconnected with your life right now?
If I happen to forget, I remind myself that I'm a sovereign being. And that is very important because no thing can affect me unless I let them.
Mm.
So I just really pause, sit down, I claim my space, and I put the ring of fire around me and really own what's happening in me because it is happening in me. I am reacting, but it comes from me.
Mm.
So the more I work on how I allow myself to be and how I observe what's happening in me, the more I have, I'm looking for a better word. It's not control because we can't control life, but we can respond to life instead of like, I'm just reacting and everyone is making me do things. And it can feel like that. And I'm not judging. This is how I was. This is how I was. And it was chaotic. But it can be calmed down. We don't need that inner chaos when we realize, oh, I have something, some sort of say in this. So that's one very, very good thing to remember.
Yeah.
And I connect to my heart space daily. I take time to meditate, to really come into my body and ground to the earth, and then listen to my heart because my heart is such a beautiful portal for expansion and really loving myself and others and the world. Like I mentioned, this is my thing. But also, it is a portal to the upper realms. I can pause and I can listen, and I get these messages that I might not realize are coming in if I just went on. And, if you're in the do motion, going in the action all the time, you might miss something. And then I go out in the nature daily. Like now that it's spring here in Finland, the sun is so bright. It's better than tea or coffee or anything like that. It's like I get all this beautiful energy, and it feels so beautiful after the time of incubation that was the long winter with a lot of darkness and like really going in and seeing where I'm going. And now it's time to birth new things. So these are the ones that come to my mind right away. And yes, one thing more. If you get a nudge,
Mm.
that is your key. That
Yeah.
is your key to listen because those nudges, they can be very soft and gentle, but they are pivotal. It can be just like, don't go this way. You don't have to know why, but maybe you just take another route.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. I love that. And I would add something that we already mentioned actually before we click the record, and that connects to what you said about also being in meditation, connecting to your heart every day. That is so, that's I believe that should be really a part of the hygiene. Like we wash our face in the morning, we wash our teeth, we take a shower, we sit in meditation, we go, look, that should be the part of it really. And I'm glad that it is becoming a trend, that it is becoming a trend really. And I also noticed that my understanding that there is no such thing as bad and good emotions, that there is no such thing as bad and good energy, that this brought a completely different way of living for me and for my family and for my clients and so on and so on. it's in that perspective itself, you have a release. You have, I don't have to fight against anything. And that is that knowing that connects with what you said about sovereignty. Like when we are sovereign, yes, we are grounded in ourselves, but we also know that we are everything and that we are our own selves at the same time. And in that way, we, right, communicate from our center. We are not reacting, as you said, like crazy flies, like, something hits and we suddenly go into triggers and everything. We can process the triggers. We can be with that and then respond. That's a completely different thing. And that is the art I am developing. That is the way of living I'm still and I will always practice and improve day after day. But just the fact that I now know in myself that there is no such thing as good and bad, just because I know that, it makes it so much easier. So much easier. There is no resistance. Like I can feel uncomfortable. I can feel the anger, the fear, the confusion. Like of course I will feel all of that. But I know instantly in my mind, this is just an emotion. This is just something temporary. This is just something for you to experience, nothing else. It has no label. It has no power over me. It has no, right. It is just something that is happening. That was the revolution. Literally a revolution for me. It was like, oh, like a huge burden because, as you said, and we resonate in that so much, we felt like outcasts. We felt like misfits. There were a lot of things that hurt us. There were a lot of humans that were hurting us through their own unconsciousness, through their own traumas and wounds. And that happened, like, okay. And in that process, you develop different armors. You develop that survival mode, really, that you are looking like, what is going to happen when, and you are in that reactive state, right, as you said. And yeah, I developed that as well, right? Many of us did. And through healing, came back slowly now to that sovereignty, to that wholeness, and seeing it for what it is. Like when there's a beautiful, my mother was learning Sanskrit, this ancient Indian, right? And Indo-European language. And through that learning, it was about 30, 40 years ago, she remembered one sentence from her professor, the professor of Sanskrit, as he was teaching them something. And then he said, wisdom, what is wisdom? Wisdom is when you see the shit, calling it a shit, like naming it, right?
Yeah.
There you go. And when you see something beautiful, naming it, saying, yes, this is beautiful, without attachment to either one of those. And just seeing it as it is, responding in a way that is appropriate. And that's it, but no attachments. And that stood up with her. And that was, I inherited that knowing. And often I remember that, just, yes, see it as it is and then process it and then respond in a way that is best for you. So for me, yes, it's also because now I know that there is no such thing as good and bad, that they all exist within duality and they are all a part of the whole. Because I know that it is really easy, but really it is easy to face my clients' traumas and to see them and to feel them and help them process that, because all of the time I see them in them wholeness. I see them as whole and complete. I see them in their fullest potential. And that's how I hold that vision and that state. And to be honest, it is difficult for me sometimes to see myself in that way. It is still, I forget from time to time. I forget that I'm already complete and healed. And, it just slips my mind because it's a habit of how many, almost 4 decades of living in a certain way. And, you need time to get out of that. But it is the knowing that I'm returning to, and something I want to inspire and everyone who listens to just remember, as you also beautifully said, like, yes, remember, you are complete. Remember, It's okay. Remember you're loved. Remember that you are created through love, with love, that every cell of your body is constructed in a perfect way, like in perfect harmony, perfect balance. It is like that. And then every challenge, every issue, even every illness is just showing a dysfunction, it's just showing a disharmony that calls you, invites you, like, okay, bring me back into harmony. Remember, right? Breathe through me. Remember that it's all right, right? It's all the part of the process. And that's wow, that's incredible. And I mentioned, yes, a couple of days ago, the scene in the hospital, and I will mention it here as well because I feel that it is important. Whenever you are in this dense environment, so let's say that there is a lot of illness around you or a lot of anger, maybe we have protests here in Serbia right now. Just a week before we are recording this now, we had over 1 million people on the streets. Like, it's a lot of energy. Like, even if it was the most light and beautiful and loving energy, it's a lot of energy. Like, so that can be overwhelming by itself. So there's a lot of things happening all over the world, and a lot of things, as we said, coming onto the surface, being purged, being healed, being transformed. And as you are in this phase, just remind yourself, I have my support system. I have my support system. I have my teams in invisible realities that are always here. Because they are invisible doesn't mean they're not here. They are. Sometimes they're even, a little bit boring. Like, we are here. Okay, I know. It's all right. Let me live. But jokes aside, this can be really supportive. And I was in hospital with my family member couple of days, and we had, you have a lot of people passing through, some of them lying down in those, wheelchairs, and everything is happening, and we're just sitting there waiting for more than 4 hours. It was the situation like that we had to spend more time than normal in that environment, and we are just sitting there, and of course you observe. And the person I was with is also highly sensitive, also highly connected. So we were, of course, absorbing a lot. And in that moment, I said, it's okay. It's nothing bad with it. There's nothing bad with illness. Illness is a consequence. Illness is, again, a calling, a signal, come back into wholeness, right? It is an invitation for reconnection. And I was sitting there, I just remembered and I actually heard, I heard some of my guides, some of my protectors, some of my ancestors, some of the angels that were around. There are a lot of angels in those particular spaces, when, especially in hospitals, there were a lot of them there. And they just, like, tapped me on the shoulder and like, why don't you ask us for a little support and help? Like, we are bored, give us something to do. So I asked, and it comes from your intention. All you need to do is be present, connect to your heart and set the intention and say what you need. Literally, like you're ordering in a restaurant. Say, I need to be a little bit energetically disconnected from this right now. I need a little bit of energetic protection. I need a little bit, right? You just say what you need and you just observe what's happening. So the person next to me, my family member, he, turned to me and said, suddenly it became warmer. And I knew, yeah, yeah, of course, because the energy started working and you can instantly feel, you can feel the relaxation in your body. And it's not selfish, it's not something that is only for you, because that frequency supports everyone and everything around you. And that's what we are doing, right? Coming back into our natural frequency and power. And that's a ripple effect, because we are vibrational beings, and that affects everything and everyone around you. So you're doing it for everyone, right? Not only for yourself. Yeah. Let's just flow. You can share now, Annaliina, whatever comes to you as I was talking, whatever, any idea, just go ahead and shine.
I really love that you brought up the idea that there's nothing bad or good about emotions. I so much resonate with that. Yesterday, I had a bad day. I woke up feeling bad and sad and like pitying myself and all that. And I did my morning tapping. I was crying. I was crying, and it was just, it needed to come out. And it happened a couple of times during the day, but because I let it come out, in the evening I was feeling good. And yesterday, two people approached me for some items that I have on sale. So I was like, thank you, universe. I'm opening the flow and you're returning the compliment, you know.
Yay, yes. Mm.
And also with the dense energies, like before I was as aware as I'm now, sometimes when I was walking outside, I got these like sudden like, ooh, and I was like, why am I so anxious? I could actually hear people's thoughts, and I was like, why am I thinking this? And it made me feel really uncomfortable and unsafe and all that. So it's normal if it happens.
Yeah.
Then I started to realize, okay, it's not me. It is someone else thinking these not so nice thoughts, and I'm absorbing them. So it's important to learn how to, protect your own energy. And yes, ask your spirit team
They want to help.
because, yeah. And then I think there was one thing, but I do not remember it right now. So I will let you know when it comes up.
Sure. Sure, sure. I want to reflect also on what you said. Ask your spirit team. What's coming up for me right now is you don't even have to believe it. But
Mm,
seriously, like I started connecting when I was in my head completely. I was this rational, mental, analytical person. I was still highly sensitive. As you said, I collected energies, I was sensing everything, but I was living in my head. And that was up until a couple of years ago. So that was my main modus operandi. That's how I lived. And I found it weird, woo-woo, strange to now speak to angels. Like, what am I? What am I? So, and I of course connected a lot of these terms and a lot of these entities, I connected them with religion. And as many of us, I had religion trauma. And I was persecuted, and I was, banished, and I was punished in many ways in many past lifetimes, as many of us did. I was silenced, etc. And I got this, not only the fear, but really a sort of hate towards, religious systems. And therefore, whenever someone mentioned the word angels or something like that, I was like, ugh, yeah, ugh, do I really have? And then I was again curious because I knew that as when I was little, I used to connect and talk with and work with many different energies and beings. And I was like, okay, I'll just try and see what happens. And that's how it started. That's how it started. And it was like, let me, ask, like, if you are here, like the basic thing, if you are here, move this, this object or whatever, the drapes on the window, just move them a little bit 3 times in a row, and I will know that you are here, or something like that. And I was like, nah, I don't care if that happens. I'm just curious. And of course the connection was there. And of course there weren't at the very beginning, but as I continued, the signals became, not only those visible ones, but especially in the way I felt, became more and more real. And I came to an understanding of this all exists, it was always here, and I can, help myself, I can help others through this, and with help of these beings. They are not me and I'm not them. We have different frequencies, so it's important not to get lost in all of this. But we're here to support each other. Like, they're here to chill with me. They're like here to, sometimes they literally just come and chill. Like, well, let's just be here. Okay, cool. It doesn't have to be, oh, some big thing that is going on. But I'm definitely inviting, if you are still, a little bit hesitant, if you are still scared and you don't know what will happen maybe if I connect to my ancestors? What will I find there? How painful will it be? There are some people that are, they're still hesitant, a little scared to go there. The first thing I want to say, first of all, you have people that can support you. We can hold the space for you, right? You can choose Annaliina, choose me, choose any of the healers and light workers that are on the earth right now. So seek help, seek support, sure, but also do your own exploration and try to open up your heart and to feel and to also learn how to navigate this realm as well as you are navigating the physical realm. You need to know how to navigate this too, because there will be some energies, some dense energies, as you mentioned, that want to interfere, they want to jump in and say, I'm your ancestor, but I don't have anything to do with any of your ancestors, like they come out of nowhere. But in that moment, everything you need to do is connect with your heart, breathe deeply, ground yourself, feel where you are, and let that be. Say, okay, I'm not going to destroy you. I'm not going to push you away. I'm not fighting you. Because when you fight these negative energies, humans, whatever, you give them your power. It's the act of you giving power, actually. So I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to totally see you. I see you. And in the moment you say, I see you as you are, I accept you as you are, you will see those energies melting and literally evaporating and coming back into light because they have nothing, they cannot do anything in that stage. When you see, I see you, I'm present here, I'm fully present, see you, it's okay, it's all right. And they're like, what's going on? Like new. And it's such a beautiful way to again introduce the shamanic way into your life. You don't have to be a shaman, you don't have to work as a shaman, you don't have to choose that path whatsoever, but you can use all of those tools in your daily life and enrich and improve your life. Now I want to know, I am curious, Annaliina, I am curious. I want to know more about your apprenticeship. So how does that feel like to you as you're learning to be an official shaman in Finland where you live? How is that experience for you? Whatever you want to share about that teacher-student relationship, about that expansion, just feel free to share with us.
Well, my mentor is from the States. She's a Native American and she has many lineages that she's blending into one. And she has learned from her ancestors, so it's really beautiful. And we started with because I follow the path of the sun from the east to west, and we started with basics like how to work with the directions, and also like how to use it as a path to self-discovery, not only as a way of serving my clients. And then the second half of this 6 months has been about clearing, like how to go really deep into, like safely, but really deep into the clearing so that it's not like, poof, now you're healed, but actually like providing the results because my clients want results. That's why they pay me. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then in the side of all this, I'm digging into the information about the shamanism in Finland. And it's very interesting. Of course, it's written by scientists, so it is a certain perspective. But I have masters in musicology, so I know how to read scientific language. I didn't pick anything too, difficult, but just to have an overview. And I think it's so beautiful that shamanism is considered I'm sorry, I'm looking for the word, like not the religion, but the faith of my people before
Mhm,
Christianity came
mhm,
over. And
mhm.
then they started coexisting. So people, they started going to church. They also had to, but they still went to the healer when they needed some healing. And that also changed like the again, I'm losing a word here. The lyrical poetry used in the healings, there started to be mentions about Mother Mary, and so it's beautiful to see how language has also shifted through time. And then incorporate that into what I do, because I can read it between the lines what was done. And I think it's just so beautiful how it was done and how meaningful it was for the communities to always know, like, okay, this is a problem. We lost our crop. What do we do? And then there's someone who can help them go through that. Or there's difficult birth or whatever, like all the things that happen in life, because it's not just happiness and rainbows and unicorns and there's in this earth, at least, there is so much more. There are the dense energies as well, and again, it's okay, it's part of this experience. We're supposed to know both. And through this work and also through life, we learn how to ask for help. That is awesome. We don't have to go through everything alone. And one thing I want to mention before I opened up to all of these things, one thing that I realized was that I'm very good at calming down a dog when I'm walking a dog, because my friend had a dog that was a little bit, she could be a little bit aggressive towards other dogs.
Yes.
But with me, she was so calm because I was just oozing the calmness. I was giving her the mental images of us going past the other dog just so calmly, and like there's nothing that could interest us less than the other dog. So it worked. I was like, yeah, this is a good talent to have. But I didn't really, really realize what it was. But everything is energy. So there's so much magic and potential in us claiming our energy and really standing in our power. And it doesn't mean that we're selfish or cocky, or it doesn't mean any of that. It just means that we're in tuned and we can't be affected as much. And that also gives us so many more options. We can decide how we respond and all that. So it's beautiful. And nowadays, of course, I'm not always like, oh, love and light, boo. Nobody is. But when I realized that, let's say I'm having a disagreement with my husband,
Mhm.
and I realize, ooh, this is not the energy where I want to be. This is also not the energy that will get us to the solution and to the good part where we sort of, okay, we have grown together. And when I realize it and I'm able to calm it down, the whole situation changes almost instantly.
Yeah.
So that is so great. And it is possible. It is possible, even though in this world, we're told, for example, okay, you have asthma, you will always have asthma, nothing will help you but these
Mm,
medications and treatments and all that.
mm.
But there are other options. And I can say this because I no longer use my asthma inhaler. I don't need it. So,
Yes, there are many, many, many options, and the path you beautifully explained, that understanding and that connection and that wisdom I mean, those are the ways. I mean, those are the ways as we connect to ourselves, really some ailments, as you said, diseases, conditions, even injuries get better or completely disappear. That's my experience as well. Like I had three autoimmune conditions just a couple of years ago. I had a knee injury. I injured my knee, dislocated my knee for over 20 times during my life. I had a problem with my hip. It was all connected. I'm not saying that it was all just that, but it was connected to emotional stuff. It was connected to energetic stuff. It was connected. It was connected to my perception of myself because I saw myself as weak, as vulnerable, as I saw myself in that way. I didn't see myself in wholeness as I am. And therefore, those conditions, they still existed and they kind of ruled my life. They redirected me in different ways. And as those perceptions changed, as those healing happened, as those emotional traumas healed, as those, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or ideal. That's not the how to say, the destination. That's not the goal at all. Like, I don't want to be perfect. That sounds boring. That really sounds bleh. Like, yeah, I'm just perfect and I'm deal and everything works perfectly. I manifest instantly, and that's not life. Like, that's what is that? Okay, we have that on higher realms. We don't need that here. Like, let's have fun. So that's not the goal. The goal is to get closer to yourself, be in this state of love as much as possible, and understand, play with, and see. Okay, these are all signals. These are as I said, invitations. I saw when I started seeing those illnesses, conditions, injuries as invitations to see something, feel something, explore something hidden. What's beneath the surface there? What's really there? Well, beneath those injuries with my knee was my relationships with my mother. We say, when we are explaining generations in Serbian language, we say literally the first knee, the second knee, the third knee when it comes to, right, parents, grandparents, grandparents. So it was literally my knee. It was literally my relationship, literally with my mother, literally. Like it was really literal. So that was fun to explore and to feel. I mean, it was, of course, there were pain here as well, but it was expensive. And as I did that more and more and just went into understanding, my knee got better, my knee got stronger. And the knock in the wood, I didn't have that injuries for I don't know how long now. I don't even think about it. I don't perceive myself as someone who has those injuries. As I said, like I perceive myself as someone who has asthma, so I have asthma. It's kind of you're declaring that you are that person that has that, then you will have that. That is the truth. I had also asthma when I was little. I didn't have a symptom of it for decades. Like it's not the part of my identity, right? And you are much more than that. We are all much more than that. So I really love that you mentioned that as well. And I wanted to ask, actually, do you have questions for me? Would you like to know something about me, about my work? You discovered me on Facebook, and what was actually something that attracted you to connect?
I love your glow.
Thank you.
Yeah, but sometimes you instantly have this feel like, okay, yeah, we might share something because on Facebook you cannot really know. You can read the bio and you can look some posts, but that doesn't really tell you much necessary. Or it can tell something like, okay, not that. But the feeling, I love the feeling.
Yes.
And yeah,
I'm so
please
glad.
share, please share more of how you operate. What are all the dimensions of what you do?
Yeah. I'm the navigator, so I am the person who helps people navigate their emotions, navigate their inner world. I help them literally like a guide when you go on a tour, touristic tour somewhere. And let's say that you want to visit Kilimanjaro, the mountain of Kilimanjaro. you need a local guide there, a guide who knows every stepping stone, who knows, oh, this is the shortcut, oh, this is the, who can just guide you. And this person cannot tell you where you will step. It doesn't, this person doesn't tell you, oh, walk in that and that way. Like, no, that's your responsibility, but it is there to guide you. So I am here as a navigator through emotions, through inner world, through, again, the connection with the spirit, the connection with the soul. And I have that bridge installed in me that when people are around me, they instantly get easily connected to their soul, their spirit. They have this, as you said, with energy only, they are already receiving, they're already, awakening some parts of themselves. So when I work, I am discovering my own gifts. I'm still discovering my own gifts. I'm still in the process. Just 10-ish days ago, I had an in-person session with a client, and we started, as I usually begin, I bring my clients into the theta wave state in which they are relaxed and almost like drifting into sleep, but not completely. And in that meditative state she was in, I asked her, do I have your permission to activate certain points on your body, certain energetic centers, or acupressure, right, in a way? Can I do that? And she said yes. And so we explored that, and I saw that in my hands I have that, and in my being I have that knowing. I have like a map, literally, and I can see, I can actually feel where the blockage is in her body very precisely, and I can just gently press that certain point, and it was one of those was on the neck. And it wasn't in any area of this, it was below here, like when you put the finger below the tissue, and there it was. It was so precise. And when that point was activated, her entire body went into release, and it went into the release of energy that was stuck there. And so that's a new gift. Like, I didn't know that I have that. I had no idea. I knew that I can use my hands in many ways, but this is also a signal for anyone watching. You have gifts you have no idea you have. You have gifts that are still, waiting to be activated. And if you are connected to this conversation we're having here, you most probably do have some healing gifts. You most probably are a healer in any shape and form. You can be an artist and you can do healing. You can be you can work, right, as a facilitator like we do. You can be a teacher, you can be a lecturer, a public speaker. Like, you can do this in gazillion forms, but you do have a healing force, meaning the healing principle within you. So you will discover, like I did, you will discover, like, I have tools. Mostly when I work, I use the tools of parts work, for an example. So communicating, being the mediator between different parts of the psyche of the client. There was also regression therapy, which I'm not using that often anymore. I'm certified in regression therapy, but I'm not really, it's just, how to say, a tool, one of the tools I might use. And those memories, if they are suppressed, they naturally appear. When we are in the space of acceptance, presence, they just appear, and they are being processed, and there is no rigid structure there. And lastly, most importantly, maybe I do use my voice, I do use my music a lot, more and more and more. And through just channeling certain frequencies that are affecting my client in a certain way, they again have revelations, powerful releases. They have also a lot of integration. They can receive the frequency they missed for their entire life. They can receive something they didn't receive when they were little. They can receive that as a frequency, as an energy that can then develop through their routines, etc. And I also serve as a mentor, because when the healing session is done, there is a integration phase, and there is a phase in which clients are going to function differently in their daily life. So I'm there to gently guide them, give them suggestions, say, okay, you might want to include different routines. You might want to change your habits. You might want to change your environment, the people you're surrounded with. So it's a sort of a coaching mentorship through which I'm leading them to then integrate, because we only go through a healing session. That's wonderful, but it's not the end of it, right? That's where it begins. When you are a brand new person, in a way, how are you going to live? What are you going to do? What are you going to do for a living? Something that changes as well. Often people change careers when they go through a healing process. So it's really transformative mentorship. That's why I call it in that way. Profound inner work, but guidance as well. And I'm so glad I came back to music. I'm, by the way, ethnomusicologist. We are close in our formal education too, which is no coincidence, of course. So I'm so happy that I returned to that, because music is powerful. Music is pure frequency. It literally communicates with your DNA. It communicates with your spirit, your cells, everything. It just bypasses every barrier there is and just goes straight to the essence. So I love it that you are a musician as well, Annaliina, and that we have connected over that. And yeah, I would love to maybe wrap up this talking part that we had. Do you agree?
Yes.
And then we will, of course, we will complete that. And then if we want to, we can press record and film some music, or maybe we can do it some other way. We will see it. But first of all, I want to ask you, yes, how can people find you, Annaliina? What is the best way to contact you, to start working with you? What is your invitation? Just go ahead and share.
Well, I can be found in Facebook with my name, Annaliina Vatula. And I also have a web page, and it's called happybitsinlove.fi. It is being updated, but yes, you will find more info there.
Beautiful. Yes. And what are you offering right now? Do you offer only one-on-one work, or you're planning some group sessions? What are you offering at the moment?
Right now, I have one-on-one sessions, and then there is an option of working with me for 3 months. That's a program. And I am creating a group program, but it's a bit in the process of birthing.
Yes.
Maybe in
Yeah.
the summer. I think it could be a good time to give birth during the spring and then have it over summer.
Yes, it's going with the seasons. Beautiful. And all of the links will be in the description, so you can find it there. Find Annaliina, connect with her, work with her. She's wonderful, as you can see. She's just full of this sunshine in her. That's the first thing I noticed. So yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. It was so beautiful. Really, really it was. And yes, just let me say where you can find me as well. So you can find me basically on YouTube, here where you are right now, most probably on my channel, Una Singh. You can find me on my website, which is unasingh.com. And I also have created, and it's so beautiful, and Alina is also in there, so you will see her in our beautiful sanctuary. That's the Telegram group and the channel where we gather, where I will share in upcoming weeks and months more of the wisdom and the guidelines and the channeling and the music. So there we connect, and there we are literally growing together. And at the moment, I'm offering both one-on-one and group options. So when it comes to one-on-one options, it's minimum of 1 month working with me. So that's the minimum that is offered. And the group version starts from 12th of April now, pretty soon. And with every moon cycle, we are going to have sessions. So every second week, every second Saturday. And we're going to use those natural energies to, again, purify ourselves, align ourselves, empower ourselves to whatever is needed in the moment. This is all the work that comes straight from my soul. It's not planned so much. I don't need to plan it and put it into the rigid structure. So it's really flowing with the group, and I know that it will be potent. And if you feel the invitation, join me. Actually, contact me and we will get everything arranged. So these are the options right now, and I'm open to have conversations like we had right now and speak, yes, with you if you are an expert in your field, if you are doing it from the heart. You don't have to consider yourself an expert. I don't care. If you're doing it from your heart, if you have pure intention, you want to help people, you want to help humanity, you want your voice to be heard, you want to share a message like we did right now, contact me as well. You find my business email in the about of the YouTube as well, in that about section, and you can reach out and we can, yes, co-create something, and maybe even gather a couple of us on Zoom sometime and, yeah, co-create as a group. That would be, yes, and Annaliina is cheerful about that. Amazing. Thank you again. This was like nourishment, really. That's how it felt. And we are wrapping up the conversation here. Any thoughts that you want to share at the end of the video, Annaliina?
I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this opportunity, this talk, to spend time with you, you all. And yeah, gratitude is the best medicine. We can always come back to gratitude. There's always, always, always something to be grateful for. So I will wrap
Amen.
my thoughts with that. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening, tuning in. Don't forget to leave comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, share, tip all the buttons you like to, to tap on, and we will see you in the next video. Bye everyone.
Your body is your temple, sacred, loved, always there for you. Can you hear the voice of your womb?